I'm tired of turning on the television and finding experts saying, well, here's the thing that's happened over there now, and just to tell you that that's true, here's an expert who'll tell you the same thing. Yes, that's going on over there, you're right there. George Orwell and Aldous Huxley, George Orwell in 1946 and Aldous Huxley in 1932 predicted a time when the people of Iraq are children, women, old people, and they are all universally vilified by one man, Saddam Hussein. And every time the word Iraq comes up, that's the name that you hear, and that's the criminal du jour we're after. What happened to Osama bin Laden? Did he lose his co-starring role? Manuel Noriega, what happened to him? In Panama City, 3,000 people were killed in a bombing raid, so-called to get Manuel Noriega, and it was to get the Panama Canal rights back, not to get Manuel Noriega. Another lie that was told to people. And so that people cannot think in a complex political way. Another weapon of mass distraction is the media, who reduces everything to a soap opera. It's a weapon of mass distraction. So let's take that money that we're putting in developing how effective cluster nuclear bombs can be, and give it to our poor, and give it to our young people. And I'm way over, and I have one last thing to say, and it's this. A very small percentage allowed this man to rob the election. This guy isn't even an elected member of all this country. Why is this guy speaking for us? A man who lied his way into power. And he's sending us into war. Okay, one last thing. I sat down once in a place in Dublin, and I said to a guy who I knew was a known terrorist, I said, why did you become a terrorist? He said, well, it was really simple. He said, at 4 o'clock in the morning, an invading army burst into my house, tore my father out of his bed, put him in an internment camp, and sexually abused my mother, and hit my brother with a rifle butt in the face. He said, that moment I was instantly politicized. If they really believe that more violence is going to bring peace, they do not understand history. 30 years ago, 6 million people died in Vietnam. Nicaragua has been reduced to rubble. Honduras, El Salvador, Somalia, Grenada. These are all places that have been attacked for what? The signs are all around there, you know what to say. And I have to say this. If each person goes out of here and tells one other person that they have to question, and they have to ask why, and they have to stop accepting what they're being told on a daily basis from the so-called organs of truth. If this crowd doubles, and if this crowd trebles, and if people start to realize that if they take the vote and use it, you can vote this junta out of power.
I am so very happy to be here. I have been feeling so isolated, so lonely, so convinced by the mainstream media that I'm out of my mind to be worried about this path that we are taking towards this war. I have been taken out of context in every newspaper that has bothered to print anything. We have been threatened. And all along, you know, Bush from the very beginning said, you know, you are either with us or against us. I don't know who the us is. But I say to Mr. Bush, this is what democracy looks like. This is what an intelligent citizenship does. We question. We demand to know answers. We will not give our daughters and sons to a war for oil. Look around you and see how many people are here today, because I guarantee you it will not be represented this way when you read about it in the morning. We here can imagine what war will do to human beings whose faces we will never see, whose names we will never know, whose numbers we will never know. All killed preemptively in our name. If preemption is now justified as defensive, if a war against a potential threat is defensive, then so was Pearl Harbor. We must invest in alternative technologies. This is a crime against the peace according to international law. And after this war, there will be no longer any international law, only the rule of the stronger. And do we, the people, really want to be a new Rome that imposes its rule by the use of overwhelming force whenever its interests are threatened, even perceived potential threats? We do not want endless warfare. So I ask all of you, anybody out there that has a pencil and a paper, I'm going to give you some numbers.
After September 11th. I was also incredibly moved by the incredible display of humanity that came from not only New Yorkers, but people that traveled from all over the country to come here to help. Louder, turn it up! All right. Doctor at an abortion clinic, or the murder of busboys, firemen, or businessmen at the World Trade Center. Radical fundamentalism at its core hates all the things I love. Art, free expression, music, independent women, theater, good movies. We must be very wise in the way we frame our argument and how we proceed as we resist this new war. This is not the chickens coming home to roost. Al-Qaeda are not farmers looking for self-determination and land rights in Central America. Al-Qaeda are not Vietnam peasants dealing with the napalm from a government that purports to care about them. Al-Qaeda will not stand shoulder to shoulder with those struggling to call attention to third world sweatshop labor. In fact, Al-Qaeda's actions have hurt this burgeoning and important movement more than any other. Let us find a way to resist fundamentalism of all kinds that leads to violence. Distracting American attention from Enron and Halliburton, the financial scandals that connect this administration to the heart of what is now wrong with the American economy. These financial and corporate scandals that have disappeared from the front pages of our newspapers as we argue about this war. In the name of fear and fighting terror, we are giving the reins of power to oil men looking for a distraction from their disastrous economic performance.